The morning of May 1st dawned cold as the coal miners of Scofield, Utah, entered the winter quarters mines 1 and 4 for their shifts. May 1st was meant to be a day of patriotic celebration in the United States, a celebration that commemorated the 2-year anniversary of the American victory over the Spanish Pacific Fleet in the Battle of Manila Bay, Philippines. In Scofield, a town dance was scheduled for that evening at the newly constructed Oddfellows Hall. Though May 1st would begin as a day for celebration, it would end as a day of deep mourning. The miners at Winter Quarters Mines extracted coal by first drilling into a coal face, packing the hole with blasting powder and a fuse. They then took cover until after the blast was over, and then removed the loosened coal with shovels and picks. All this work created a lot of coal dust in the mine, though it by itself was not particularly feared. Coal miners were more afraid of the methane gases found in some coal mines, which were easily flammable and commonly called fire damp by miners. The Winter Quarters mines were not known to have a high amount of methane gas and were considered relatively safe to work in. Somewhere between 10:20 and 10:30 in the morning, 2 explosions ripped through the tunnels of mines 4 and 1. The explosion was so violent, the boom was heard in town, though most people mistook the noise for someone celebrating the day a bit early. From the portal of mine number 1, miners emerged fleeing the carbon monoxide that was building in their parts of the mine. One miner, W.C. Wilson, reported that, quote, "I noticed a low rumbling noise heard in the distance, followed by a sort of wave that can hardly be described, but this is known to all who have been in explosions, and I have been in several. I said to my partner that if gas was known to exist in the mine, I should say that an explosion had occurred. I advised that we flee to the mouth of the tunnel, and with me came 6 men working in that section. Rescuers who arrived at mine number 4 were met by wounded men, dead horses, and buildings in ruin. John Wilson, a young coal driver, was entering mine number 4 with a team of 3 horses when it exploded. The blast threw Wilson and the horses out of the mine. Rescuers found Wilson in a gulch 820 feet from the mine portal. Wilson was found with a partially crushed skull and a large wooden splinter protruding from his abdomen, though amazingly, Wilson was still alive. Another man, James Naylor, was thrown 200 feet from near the mine, but suffered no serious injury and joined the rescue team. Rescuers geared up with breathing apparatuses made up of diving helmets and vests that offered a moderate amount of respiratory protection from the gas in the mine. Rescuers erected brattices to direct fresh air into the mine to quicken rescue efforts. One of the first victims found in the mine was Harry Betterson, who had been so badly burned by the fire that had ripped through his section that he was not recognized at first. Betterson was still alive and in agony when he was found. He was taken to a nearby boarding house for treatment, but died later that day. William Bruder was found sitting among his dead co-workers, barely conscious, but he did walk out of the mine with the rescue team. One of the dead carried a pocket watch that was stopped by the blast. It bore the time of 10:28 a.m. Initially, there was hope that the casualties would be nominal, but as the rescue crews penetrated deeper and deeper, they found more and more dead. Some of the dead were found without any physical trauma. These men were in mine number 1 when the explosions occurred, and had opted to exit the mines through mine number 4 because it was the quickest way out. Sadly, though, these men walked right into the carbon monoxide that ended their lives. Rescuers were quickly overwhelmed with the number of dead, which they piled to be taken out of the mine, until more miners from nearby communities arrived to assist in removing the dead. Charred bodies were wrapped in canvas before being removed. Once out of the mine, bodies were taken to a local LDS church house, boarding houses, and a school. Their men undertook the grim task of cleaning and identifying the bodies before they were removed to other boarding houses to be collected by the deceased's family. The exact number of victims of that day is not exactly known, as there was no record of who exactly went into the mine that morning, but officially the number of dead stands at 200. The number of dead was so great that coffins had to be shipped in from Salt Lake City and Denver, Colorado. The Pleasant Valley Coal Company paid for the dead to be buried in new clothes and covered the cost of the coffins. Scarcely a family in Scofield escaped the loss of someone in the mine. An elderly Finnish couple, Abram and Kaisa Luoma, who had immigrated from Finland to join their large family in Scofield, suffered perhaps the most. 5 of their 6 sons and 2 of their grandsons were killed in the mine. Large trenches were dug in the stony ground of the Scofield Cemetery on May 3rd and 4th. On May 5th, 2 large funerals were held for the deceased miners. One funeral was for the 61 Finnish men and boys, and was conducted by Reverend A. Granholm, a Finnish Lutheran minister from Rock Springs, Wyoming. Reverend Granholm encouraged the Finnish families to, quote, "Look to God. He is your only help." End quote. The other funeral was for Latter-day Saints and was attended by Heber J. Grant, Reed Smoot, and George Teasdale, all leaders of the LDS Church. There were also other smaller services for members of other faiths, such as the Episcopalians and Presbyterians. Condolences from the President of the United States, William McKinley, and even from as far afield as London newspapers reached Scofield. Though the large funerals were over, some bodies were removed from the mine as late as May 10th. Privately funded donations for the devastated families poured into Scofield, as there was yet no workers' compensation laws in Utah. Public sentiment regarding the Finnish in Scofield was a curious mixture of pity and suspicion, as some people suspected the disaster was the Finnish miners' fault. An important fact of this history is that Finns were not considered to be white people, and were often treated as second-class citizens even before the mine accident. Many Finnish families accepted charitable aid, while others did not for the sake of their pride. Newspaper reports about the Finnish response often cast them in a very negative light. Official inquiries into the cause of the explosions did not find any cause to blame the Finns. Some experts said it was an errant spark that ignited the coal dust in the air. Because there was no law or regulation regarding coal dust in mines, officially no one was found to be at fault. Plenty of people did, however, blame the Pleasant Valley Coal Company for being negligent in their operations. The Winter Quarters Mines Numbers 4 and 1 reopened mining operations on May 28th, but some miners opted to find work in other mines or other jobs. Many Finnish families moved away after the scorn and suspicion they faced in Scofield, but other Finns remained. Abram and Kaisa Luoma returned to Finland with their one remaining son and a daughter. 3 Finnish children were left totally orphaned and were moved to the Catholic St. Anne's Orphanage in Salt Lake City. Scofield continued to be a buzzing mining community for the next 3 decades, until the local coal industry declined prior to World War II and became nearly a ghost town. Today, Scofield is a popular summer vacation spot, with many of the old miners' homes serving as summer homes for the descendants of the mining families who once lived there. Nearby Scofield Reservoir provides good sport fishing and boating. The Scofield Cemetery stands as a silent reminder of one of the worst mining disasters in U.S. history. Many of the victims' graves are easily spotted by the wooden markers that bear the date May 1st, 1900.